Yeah, thank you, Jay. Thank you, everyone, for the patience and understanding. It's our first time that we are doing this, so I hope that it will work well until the end. So I will share my screen, and I want to thank to Cecile, our colleague from Luxembourg, who couldn't join us today. She prepared a short presentation for this event, but unfortunately, she had collision of two events, and she passed her greetings to all of you. And yes, Cecile wanted to give you an introduction about us. Who are we? And as this presentation says, we are ordinary people, as you see. Nicola, Lucas, Mel, Jay. And yeah, we want to build our trans-local network. So to be able to share the knowledge from one community to another, across the borders. And in that sense, you are really important. We are here because of you, and you are here because of us, I assume. So thank you very much once again. I don't want to say a lot about Reconomistas because it has a long history, but once upon a time, we met with Nenad Maljkovic from Zagreb and Cecil from Luxembourg. We spoke about potentials and possibilities to work together. And we were thinking how to combine experiences from different movements, permaculture movement, transition movement, re-economy movement. And we wanted to bring those experiences closer. And we managed in a way that, yeah, we organized our first translocal entrepreneur forum in 2020. We shared, yeah, like different ideas and projects. We supported each other, and we combined different methodologies. And in that sense, we realized that there is a lot more to share. And we were thinking that this might be also one of the ideas, to meet more often, not once a year. And in that time, in 2020, Bern Unfallpakt was chosen in Bern, in Switzerland, and two other projects, one from UK and one from Luxembourg. We presented it, and we've got the support from international community. And I'm here today in Bern Unfallpakt, as you can see behind me. It's a zero waste shop that it's self-organized, self-managed, bottom-up. Lucas is one of the co-founder members as me as well. And we are, yeah, we are willing to share our experience and knowledge a bit later and more into details. And yes, once when we had this translocal entrepreneur forum and we had a lot of common interest and we continued to share and to meet regularly, we realized that we need some kind of manifest to be able to share with others who are we and what are we doing and what we want to achieve, and above all, why. And in that sense, yeah, Jay invested a lot of time, energy, his knowledge, and he wrote a draft, and Cecile as well, and Mel, and they contributed to this beautiful manifest. We can share it later with you to see it into more details. But more or less, it says that we are ordinary people, as I said, who are fighting inequality, social injustice, want to build up new economical system together with communities. And yes, like we are combining different approaches. And in that sense, I really warmly welcome you and inviting you to see it and to read it and think through and to give us a feedback, because what we want to do is to make a better future for all of us. So I will not stay for too long on the manifest, even if it's a central part of our movement. But what we do now is actually that we are still networking. We do online events. We are sharing our know-how. And in that sense, if you have some ideas and you would like to share something with us, please do it. We can try to find synergies and to support each other. And yes, as a cultural context is a strength, and this diversity, it's beautiful to see people from Rio, from Tokyo, from UK, from Central Europe. I think that participatory methods can create positive economic change. And in that sense, that's the reason why we combine all these experiences that we had in our past. And people are coming from academia, from a community of practice, from business. And I think that it's really important to have this transdisciplinary approach. And in that sense, we wanted to do it as well in 2022. And we organized an event, and we wanted to share our, real life examples, how we managed to transform our local economy within one day, almost. So we already took part in World Localization Day last year, as we are doing this as well. And we shared experiences across the globe. And now, together with you, we are also taking part in this journey within the World Localization Day. And we are growing, and we are inviting you to join. So thank you once again. And I give my word back to Jay.
Thanks, Hanata. Thanks, Nicola. So a little bit of background and context for what we're all about. I just put into the chat a link to our Open Collective page, which is kind of a starting point for finding that manifesto and getting alerted when we're doing events. We also have social media, and you can find those links there. So so what we wanted to do here, this is a World Localization Day event. So for those of you who are aware of Helena Norberg Hodge and Local Futures, sorry, Renata, I started going really quickly there. You know that economic relocalization has been a theme of work coming from the permaculture world and alter globalization world and other places. So we feel like we fit very well into this frame, and we're very happy to be part of the World Localization Day community and to be linked with Local Futures in Helena. So I'm going to share a few slides, because what we wanted to do with today's event was to basically just to let you know that we're going to pilot an initiative that we think is interesting. So I will share my screen. So this is why you're all here. This is what you all signed up for. So if you read that first paragraph, or the first couple of paragraphs there of our manifesto, you'll understand exactly why we're doing what we're doing. We all know that we face wicked global crises, polycrisis, if you like, and we need to dramatically reduce our impacts. The IPCC reports basically said we need to totally transform everything. That's a big job. And there are many currents of new economic thinking now that are trying to suggest alternative policies, suggest a different orientation, a different sort of paradigmatic context for moving forward. But this requires more than just policy. It requires people doing things differently on the ground. And I think this is where we sort of come in as entrepreneurs, as community organizers who have come into this kind of work from many different places. Myself, I've been a part of Transition Town Totnes for 10 years. Before that, I was involved in green and social entrepreneurship. Nicola, Mel, Cecile, Elna, we all have similar stories that have led us to thinking globally, of course, but also taking action locally. And there's so much that we can do to relocalize our economies. And more than that, when we really understand what's required, there's a lot that we can do to meet our needs locally outside the market. So one of my favorite words that I'm using these days is conviviality. And this is a big part of the degrowth discourse. It's a big part of what transition is all about. It's also a big part of what donut economics is all about. In fact, when you scan across the range of different ways of articulating a new approach, a more ecological approach to how we go about meeting our needs, it all comes down to having better lives together with less stuff. And so we've been at this for a while, and we see that you know, there are things popping up all over, but we also, I think, see opportunities for things to things to be amplified and to accelerate, to spread this way of making change from the bottom up. And so that's the intention of this project. So as Nicola has been, you know, as Nicola has been saying, you know, giving us some background into what we've been doing as the REconomistas for the past little while. I think for about the last year, or maybe even for about the last year and a half, the four of us have been really considering how, you know, what could we do to amplify and accelerate this movement. And all of us are part of international networks of various kinds, but we decided to really slow down and just kind of, in a way, sort of focus on our own relationships with each other. And this led us to a very organic process, taking into account what we know about the system being complex and adaptive. There's an evolutionary flavor to how change is happening, but there are projects and so on. And where might projects help things to accelerate? Well, we might be informed by Donella Meadows and thinking about leverage points, or maybe we have another way of thinking about it. But in the end, you know, it means taking some chances and experimenting a little bit. I think in a way, our process has been a little bit like what these images indicate, kind of a slow process of, you know, creating nutrients and planting seeds and nurturing what begins to grow. Maybe we call this slow innovation. I don't know, but it's been small and beautiful, and our little collaboration has been rooted in our relationships and how we're caring for each other, and I think in this way also trying to model the kind of system that we might want to see come into being. So how might this new system come into being? This is a messy table, but it's about building vertical and horizontal relationships in places. So for those of you who've been working from the bottom up, you know, you link with people that you can link with, you build networks with like-minded people, you look around and you see who else you could pull into the network, depending on what you're trying to do. So this table attempts to just clarify that a little bit. So let's see. Okay. So if we look at this top horizontal line, community and civil society organizers, well, I know that we have many in my place in South Devon. I know that there are many in Bern and Luxembourg, Rio too. Community and civil society organizers might be involved in, say, a transition group or something like that. But we also know that in our places, there are other groupings, other sort of communities that we know we want to be aligned with and we want to be connected with, because this is part of how change can happen in a place. So we want to be linked with regenerative entrepreneurs and meta entrepreneurs, people who are doing things like local entrepreneur forums or setting up co-working spaces, things like that. Also, we want to be connected with academics in local universities and people who are involved in programs that might relate to shifting economic systems and social reality on the ground. And if we're doing that, we also know that there's a role for people in local government too. So how can we begin to develop the kind of powerful networks and relationships in a place that are sort of vertical, that connect community and civil society organizers, entrepreneurs, and academics? And how can we connect across different places to learn about what's happening in other places, to benefit from the knowledge and know-how that might exist elsewhere? And so that's the idea behind this REconomy Twinning Places initiative that we're starting up, to help those of us in these places develop the tools, the knowledge, the know-how to make the networks for change in our own places more powerful, but also to share the knowledge and know-how with each other and to grow the movement. Okay, I hope that was clear. So here's what we're finding in our experience. This is a bit of a hypothesis about how knowledge and know-how diffusion has been happening in some of our networks. I'm familiar with the Transition Network, but I think many of us who are involved in transnational networks, and even this one with Local Futures and World Localization Day, will see that very often there are individuals in local places who will participate in these international networks. They may go to conferences, they may go to trainings, they may be on calls like this one. And the idea is that they'll go back to their local groups and they'll share the things that they've learned. They'll transmit the knowledge and the know-how. But what this graphic suggests is that a lot gets lost along the way, that it's not a powerful way to skill up a local network, to skill up a local sort of collective of people who are doing things. So what we think might be another approach is to twin those networks of change in one place with a network for change in another place, and create opportunities, online workshops and other sort of interventions that can help many places in a place connect with many people in another place, to begin to forge relationships, to learn things that will be useful in their own contexts, and so on. So we're calling it Twinning Places because it's I suppose conceptually similar to twinning towns and other things that we've seen out there that are attempts to forge cultural interchange and so on. And this is part of what we want to do. We want to create those links so that there's more interchange between many of those change makers in a place with many of the change makers in another place. So that's the idea. We're going to try it out and amongst our 4 places and see how it goes. So this is another way of kind of looking at what we think might be the benefits and how this might work and how it might help to spread the know-how and the knowledge more effectively from place to place. So this is a sort of schematic diagram, like a map. So you have places where new initiatives are popping up. They might be transition or something else. So we know that there's a lot of grassroots energy these days, and we know that in many places, people are beginning to come together to say, well, what could we do in our place? What do we need to learn to be effective? How could we do it? We know that there are many places that are already doing transition. So transition towns are all over. I think they say they have thousands around the world. But then there are also places popping up who are trying out donut economics. And then there are places that are trying out community wealth building, another approach and another model. And there are many other approaches and models where you see groupings, the commons. I know that there are degrowth groups. There are other groups pursuing bienestar and other ways of looking at things and organizing in other places. So in a way, this represents layers of activity. And if we sort of compress them down, again, conceptually, this is a schematic, we see that there are, let me just find my little pointer here. So there are places where they might be doing transition, and places they're just popping up and brand new. But then there might be places that are already doing transition and they're already doing community wealth building. So maybe a very robust place where a lot of things are happening. So what we want to do is create relationships between places so that there can be exchange of knowledge, exchange of best practices, exchange of know-how, where we can cross-pollinate and share. And so instead of being so limited maybe by our one approach, we can learn many approaches. We can enlarge the size of our toolbox, have many maps to the territory to help us find our way. And so what we would hope to find is that by connecting these various places into these relationships, that each place will become more effective, have more capabilities, be able to do more, and to help spread that knowledge and know-how further, to create new cohorts of new places or existing places that might benefit from this kind of learning, this kind of peer learning, and the cross-pollination and the spreading of the knowledge that will ensue. So what we think will happen, what we're going to try to make happen, is we're going to model and pilot how this can work amongst our 4 places, and then we'll bring it to the world, so to speak. And what we hope is that we'll become much more connected, that the learning and the spread of the know-how and the innovation will accelerate and amplify from place to place. So maybe a before and after kind of picture where there's much more connectivity and much more vibrancy. This is our hope. This is what we're going to experiment with this project. And if it works, what we also hope is that it will begin to spread like mycelium through our countries and places, bringing more and more communities into doing this kind of work. So skilling up, powering down, becoming more convivial, reducing our impacts, moving toward a more regenerative sort of economic regime. This is just a little diagram to show how we are going to get started with our pilot. We'll be doing things in each of our 4 places and working as a core group. We'll be looking to identify those areas in each of these places where we might improve our knowledge or where we might have knowledge to share. And then we will develop a program to do that. And translation and interpretation will be a big part of it. So what we anticipate will be more multilingual kinds of events, producing materials in many languages, again, so that this can serve the purpose of helping innovations that are working to spread and to thrive wherever they might. So hopefully you'll stay connected, if for no other reason, to learn how this is all going. We're going to meet up again in September, and we'll talk about wherever we are with this project. We'll also talk about the Translocal Entrepreneur Forum that we're planning for November. And I see the rest of these bullets are copy and pasted from an earlier slide, so sorry about that. So that said, I hope that was all clear. I might have gone through it a bit rapidly. It's a simple idea, really. We're going to connect place to place, do lots of learning and growing, and hopefully being more effective at making change on the ground wherever we are. Should we have questions and answers, Nicola, or should we, yeah, any questions? Or any feedback? Does anybody think this is a horrible idea? Or an amazing idea? Or have an idea of how to make it work? Gabriela.
For me, it's an amazing idea. And the feedback I felt to share with you, I celebrate this idea. And I have curiosity to know more about slow innovation. But I celebrated this name. Everything that's slow for me, it makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, we would try to explain it, but it would take so long.
It can last ages.
Yes, I can imagine.
Hi, Jay. Here's Reiki speaking. I think this is a great idea, and I see a very nice concept, and quite similar to another concept I've been working with IDG, the Inner Development Goals. And I have a question here. Just to be a little bit more concrete, as a civil engineer and quite logic, I have a way to think about how things can be planned and what's being done in order to have the bedrock to start a new venture about this. And can you answer me, what have already been done concerning these idea, these plan? Because as you showed in the figure that you have the three layers, three very important layers, three very important levels that they join it. There must be a process, a minimum process or a minimum idea, how we make it joining and to get all the connections about this. This is only a beginning of an idea, or have already done some movements or some actions in order to have any kind of outcome from an experience or from a test in order to start from this point?
Very good question. Well, I think part of the answer is that we've been engaged in this kind of slow innovation process for a couple of years. We've as a group, as the REconomistas, we've put on events that were oriented toward exchanging know-how and knowledge from us, maybe who have that knowledge and know-how, to whoever might show up to the meeting. And we've also realized that in our own places, that some of the knowledge and know-how that we have collectively in our little group would benefit other people in our places. So speaking from my point of view, in South Devon, so we're here in Totnes, where we have a transition town, we have Schumacher College nearby, we have other little groupings. And what we've seen is that what works for us when it works is that the animators of projects are skilled with certain kinds of facilitation techniques, that they have certain kind of knowledge about economic relocalization or donut or whatever. And where they do and where they apply them effectively, things work, and where they don't, things don't really work. And so this is why we thought, if, a key aspect of how economies change has to do with know-how, what people know how to do. So so our logic is a little bit simple here. If we want to have a more convivial, post-growth kind of economic reality, well, what are the skills and what's the know-how required for bringing that about? And so we think that has to do with some of the facilitation techniques that we know, but also the knowledge of these different economic models, the know-how of how to start a certain kind of enterprise or to facilitate investment. So it's a very long list of things that would be useful to know. And this is why we thought if we accelerated the transfer of that kind of knowledge and know-how from place to place, then maybe we'll amplify and accelerate the change that happens there.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
If there are no other questions, then maybe Nicola, over to you.
Thank you, Jay. May I ask Henrik just to mute the microphone?
Okay.
As I hear the back. No, yeah, thank you very much. Any question is welcome, and therefore I encourage you to write and send to join to conversations that might deeper also your knowledge about the idea, and of course that we are willing to share. In that sense, what we wanted also now on a concrete example to show what might be also one of these outcomes is that we want to now show you what is happening in Totnes and in Devon in general, like here in Switzerland, in Bern, and in Rio de Janeiro, and it might also inspire and encourage others to try or to prototype, to test something in their own local community. As Jay spoke earlier, we would really like that those communities also share knowledge horizontally, not only vertically. And therefore, I encourage now Lucas from Bern to share his presentation about projects that are happening in Bern and in Switzerland. And later we go to Rio and then again to Totnes, Devon. Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Lucas.
Thank you so much, Nicola. So I tried to share my presentation. You just let me know if you can't see the presentation. Is that right? All right. So thank you so much for this opportunity. As you see here, a beautiful picture of Bern, and I will introduce some of our initiatives and what's going on in our twinning city here in Bern. So I will speak just a couple minutes about our social, environmental, and some governmental projects and initiatives going on. Yeah, for example, as you saw here in the back, you have a city map, and it's this city map is created from a students' organization, and sometimes you're wondering where can I actually buy local food, organic food, or secondhand clothes, or where can I repair whatever. So they created a map where local initiatives can market themselves and register, and customers can like see where you can buy local produced or fair trade products. So this is a really cool initiative from a students organization. Then it was already mentioned, Transition Bern. I would say it's a quite active network here in Bern. And for example, you don't have to read this. It's just an overview about the groups. So Bern Unverpackt, the zero waste store Nicola was in or is in, I can't see right now on the screen, was an initiative or was built up from Transition Bern. And as Enrique said, the inner development goals are very important as well. So we have a group working or organizing events regarding the inner development goals. Then you see fair economy and events in general. So there are different active groups in the Transition Town Initiative here in Bern. And here as well, just as an overview, I know you can't read it anyway, but we want to be, or Transition Bern wants to be a platform as well. So any initiative which goes in more co-creation, sustainability, systemic change, or just beautiful local initiatives, they are listed here, and you can just see this platform if you're interested and you want to see some spots in Bern, you can visit this platform. Yes, and we have a newsletter and the mailing list, and since a couple of months also a signal channel, which is really useful to share information, events, so we can communicate without with the easy access what's going on in Bern and link ourselves. Yes, the city of Bern, I would say, is quite active or ambitious when it comes to the sustainable development goals. So they really formulated a clear strategy with 50 different goals, how our city can work or develop itself towards these sustainable development goals. And I picked here number 17, because it goes in the same direction of what we're talking about right now. It's about empowering local, but also international networks and communication and co-learning. So I think it's very interesting to see this from the city, and maybe you can see how you can find related goals in your city as well. Also, in September, we have the Sustainability Days. So the opening ceremony on the 9th of September is actually at the main square in the city, and it will be free of cars, which I think only once has been the case in the history of Bern. So this is really a big sign, I would say, from the city department. And then 2 weeks, 14 days, there are all over the city local initiatives presenting themselves, workshops, events. Then we have a SDG walk in Bern, where you can just join and learn about what's going on in Bern, learning about different initiatives. I think it's a beautiful way to see the city and just to spot local people who are working towards a more sustainable future. And maybe last, in the food section, we really have many networks. So I'm also engaged in the Ernährungsforum Forum at the upper left, which is a platform and wants to connect farmers and consumers and working towards more understanding of each other's position. So I think networks in all kinds of areas are very important. And this, I would say, what inspired me personally from Jay's words is that I'm so curious how we can learn, like not only in Bern, but from similar networks and initiatives all over the world. So I'm very happy and curious that we have this new co-learning and co-creation platform. And yeah, one question which stays with me locally here in Bern is how we can onboard more people to our movements. So whenever we have the opportunity, I'll be happy to talk about this and the questions. Thank you. I'm open for questions if we have time now or later.
Yeah, thank you, Lucas. Yeah, for sure that we are here in Bern, and we might look at it as Switzerland as one of the most privileged countries in the world with so many resources, and that it's somehow also normal that the city and the state are investing into some kind of transition. And yeah, but still, as Lucas said, for us is the main challenge above all how to onboard more people and how to switch, yeah, to look things globally, in sense that Switzerland is landlocked country and somehow self-focused, and sometimes solidarity is ending up on the state borders. So but that's the reason why Lucas and me, we are here, and there are more people who are interested in international and local collaboration. So yeah, thank you, Lucas. I would give a word now to Vishwa and David, as I see that they raised hands before we go to Mel's presentation to Rio.
So the question I want to ask is, what do you expect to learn? You personally expect to learn from these networks that you're planning? How would you benefit from such a network happening for you?
So the question is for me, I think, yeah, as I said, for example, the question, how can we onboard people? How do you, like in India or in Rio de Janeiro, how do you interact with people? How do you, like we are organizing quite some events, but mostly few people are joining. So how can we like spread the word, engage people, motivate them, and have a positive outlook in the future? And yeah, I mean, as Gabriela mentioned, slow innovation, it's such a fascinating concept, but how can we just communicate these concepts? How can we talk to people who are working poor, like every day and struggling in life? How can we integrate their perspective in the systemic change? So I don't know. I cannot say what exactly I want to learn or a specific outcome, but it would be beautiful just to hear, to listen to other locations' perspectives on similar questions, and then see what in the collective listen and what will evolve.
Yeah, thank you, Lucas. David, and I see that Sid also.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you very much, Lucas. You're doing a lot of amazing work in Bern. I wondered, from your conversations with farmers, are you able to produce some feedback that you could share for people like me and people like colleagues in Brazil who live in the city, you know, and we have problems, you know, getting access to, you know, good quality organic produce, etc. What are the distribution channels? You know, we want to support them, they want to support us, but you know, it's hard when there's so much competition from the supermarkets. So it's we need to learn the ways and means, you know, and if you could share that, that would be very, very helpful.
Well, thank you for this brilliant question. I think if I could share a solution, I would be very privileged person, and I would have lectures all over the world. So as you said, like supermarkets are also in Switzerland very, very powerful. So it's when you we are talking, or I'm learning the concept about food environments. So when you live at one place, when you walk around, where can you actually buy food, and what food is it? And if you're working a lot, you have a family to feed and maybe some hobbies, you just don't have physical access to good and sustainable food. And also, I think it's not the responsibility, or we don't have the capacity to educate 8 million people in Switzerland what is actually healthy and sustainable food. So we have really, as you mentioned, on a systemic level, we need to learn how to structure our distribution channel differently. But yeah, professionally, I'm working on these topics. Actually, I'm doing research on access for poor people to sustainable and local food. And it's so difficult because there's so many power structures involved, but we want to set some impulses in the system, and I'm happy to share the results or the outcome in another time. So I would say markets are beautiful to connect food crops. I see huge potential in food crops, but it's a lot of work to put them up.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lucas. Sid?
Posso perguntar? Lucas, parabéns pela iniciativa. Eu queria fazer uma pergunta rápida. Você teria uma página da internet? Se pudesse divulgar o endereço aqui no nosso chat. Obrigado.
Sorry, can somebody repeat the question in English? I wasn't able to manage the translation.
Yes, I've understood. I think that Lucas didn't have a translator on.
Okay.
So they asked if you can share the link so that they are able to check, even if it's
the website.
Yeah, websites. Yeah.
I will share the website.
Okay, thank you. Okay, then. Yeah, we will also leave our email addresses, and please feel free to write us. Mel, I'm looking so much forward to hear. What are you doing in Rio?
Okay. Well,
Thank you.
okay. Can you see my screen now? Here. Well, hello, everybody. I'm here to share with you a little bit of what's going on in Rio and Vale das Videiras, and a little bit of the Brazilian network of regenerative entrepreneurs, people that are getting together from different places and understanding how they can collaborate with each other through the transition principles and REconomy principles. This picture here is one of the first events that we had in Vale das Videiras, It's Tempo de Plantar. And over here you can see Muda Tudo. It's a seedling nursery that we had there in Vale das Videiras. It's a small business, local business that we are working on redesign to get today it's viable, financial viable, but we still want to be able to not only sustain itself, but also help thriving the community. So this is what we are doing right now with this place. But these pictures, it's a very, very nice picture, and I would like to share with you. What's going on here? We are right now working in three networks that are getting together and starting to share with each other. In Vale das Videiras, we have been working right now a new project, a new REconomy project. In Rio de Janeiro, we have some historical already in place, and we are getting to, to change some ideas and some collaboration with other places too. So this is what I'm going to show you. Just an overview, guys, because it's a lot of things. It's a lot of history in the background of each of these pup here, each of these circles here. In Rio, we have a Transition Towns local group, Terra Network, that was a collaborative house of regenerative entrepreneurs here in Rio de Janeiro. It took place between 2018 and 2020. By that time, in 2020, with the pandemic, we had to close the house, but the network's still popping up. We had the local regenerative entrepreneur forum in 2020, and we still have this group that's a very vivid group. In Vale das Videiras, we have a Transition Towns local group and a recent REconomy local project that is starting to mapping the enterprises over there. Social Contemporaneous hub of regenerative business. Social Contemporaneous, it's my company, and it was born on the transition principles. So what we do is helping to design new enterprises, new business with this lens of the regenerative business, with the regenerative vision of the world. And this is the collaborative network that's a kind of a wider network where we have the hub, the Brazilian Transition Hub, the REconomy Business Model Canvas. That's a tool that we started to develop when we collected all the learning that we had here in the local regenerative entrepreneur forum from 2020. And this tool is to help people modeling regenerative business with a kind of new frame, looking for how to design a business through the regenerative ideas, concepts. And then we have the group of facilitators for REconomy Business Model Canvas, the Donut Community, and Tempo de Plantar. Tempo de Plantar, it's a project that was born in a transition group in Brasília, and it's spread all over Brazil. So we have people in lots of regions in Brazil that every single first Sunday of December, they get together to plant native species of their bioregion. So it's a very, very powerful initiative of the transition that we are understanding how we are going to design in a way to help other initiatives, other business, including. There's a little bit of each one of these systems, how they are working and which other cells they are in. So you can see here, this is our first step for this regenerative business hub for Social Contemporâneo. We have 4 initiatives that got together to help each other, to collaborate with each other. Social Contemporâneo is one of them. And people from these other cells are helping Social Contemporâneo to redesign its own business. And we have Institute Dom Philip. Probably you all know Dom Philip. He was journalist. He was here in Brazil. He was investigating things about the indigenous lands in the Amazonia. And he got killed last year. And with Bruno, that was another indigenous that was with him. And right now, we got together with his wife and another partner of us, and we are designing Dom Philip Institute. Ecoversidade Vida, this is a very powerful initiative. Gabriela is the biggest girl of this initiative, and we are together with Ecoversidade Vida, understanding how we can collaborate and not only design the Ecoversidade Vida, but collaborate to make this work in a kind of strong network. So it's a little bit of our picture. And over here, the REconomy project, you can see that a lot of cells that got getting together to collaborate. And the idea is to understand how we are going to sue all of these initiatives. And we understand that the Twinning Places will help us a lot. Little bit of the faces behind all of this. Here we have the REconomy Entrepreneur Forum, a little bit of what was going on in Terra, a little bit of Vale das Videiras, and Jardim Aromático. It's a very strong initiative in Rio de Janeiro that Renata, that's here translating, is one of the leaders, and she's doing a wonderful job over there. This was Terra. A little bit of the faces, I think they're very important for all of this. And this is the tool that I was talking about, the REconomy Business Model Canvas. This the idea is for us to offer a tool for the entrepreneur to look and modeling their business, understanding how to model a business, not project-centered, not starting the business in a view of the own project only, but in a way that we can understand the project, the business as part of something a lot bigger than itself. So understanding which place does this project belong. So the understanding of the place and understanding of all the identity, the vocation, and the potentials of the place, it's very, very, very important for us to modeling a project. So this is a proposal that's looking over that too. And that's it. So we are here mapping, dreaming together, and learning how to collaborate, because this is very hard to do. So we are still learning to collaborate a lot. So we are different networks coming together and supporting each other. And thank you. So let's stick together, Nicola.
Thank you, Mel. No, really fascinating. What are you doing? Really amazed and inspired. So, are there any comments or questions for Mel? I have this privilege to meet Mel every 2 weeks, so I will sustain myself. But if somebody wants to. Yeah, I'm also aware that most of you know Mel personally, so if it's okay with you, then I give word to Totnes and UK. Thank you, Mel, once again. Jay, it's your floor.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's so many opportunities to not just learn, but also to share what we know. So already in the first two presentations, I've learned more, even though we're connected and have been connected for a while, Mel. I've learned so much more about what you guys are doing, and same with you, Lucas. So already there are things that I know that you guys know that you could bring to the folks here, and maybe there's some things that we know here that we could bring to you, and maybe there's some things that together we'll need to find out. Like, I'm really interested in this question of how do we grow participation and bring people into a process and be open, but also be aligned and clear. So I don't really have slides, but I'm just going to share a couple of web pages to help me tell the story. So we're here in Totnes, in the southwest of England. Probably you've heard of the transition movement. So this is really where it got started about 15 years ago. And it was about 12 years ago when we started the REconomy project here. And one of the things that we've been doing every year is something we call the Local Entrepreneur Forum and Community of Dragons. And it's a participatory event where we have 4 or 5 local regenerative, more or less, entrepreneurs pitch for support. They might be startups or they might be going, and then members of the community play the role of investors, and they invest money or expertise or just love and support. And so we've been doing it for 12 years now. We've had 48 different projects come through. We've raised a couple of £100,000 directly, plus another 40 or 50,000 pounds of in-kind investment, or shall we say, expertise and that sort of thing. Okay, thank you very much, Renata, and we'll see you next time. Thank you. Is everybody okay for me to continue going in English?
Muitíssimo obrigado.
I don't speak very much Portuguese. But what I was just sharing was something about the Local Entrepreneur Forum. So we just ran one a couple of weeks ago. It was our 11th one. And these are the people who pitched. The Jamming Station, they're a music-oriented social enterprise serving young people. Wildmore Tannery, they're creating natural leather from deer hides to make clothing and other things. And here in Devon, we have so many deer, like too many deer. Hundreds of thousands of deer skins are either incinerated or they're shipped off to China. So it's a great kind of circular story. They're doing rewilding too. The Bowden Pillars Future project is a regenerative farm and settlement project just outside of town. So they've acquired about 20 hectares. They're going to do regenerative farming on part of it. They're going to rewild part of it, and they're going to create super eco affordable homes for the workers there to be able to live near where they work. So really cool project. And then CircleWise is another social enterprise trying to bring circle-oriented processes into schools to help young people kind of talk about their feelings. And they got started when there was a tragedy. A teenager had committed suicide, and they brought this process into the school to help the young people deal with that situation. And it works so well. They're continuing to do it, and they're finding that people, especially young men, really get a lot out of the experience. It's helping them deal with eco-anxiety and stuff like that. So this is how we've been doing it for 11 years. We've been supporting projects like this and getting more people involved. We also have a Transition Town group. We're part of Transition here, and they have a Transition Streets program and lots of other projects too. There's also a community-owned energy company. There are a couple of regenerative farms nearby. Another project that Elena and I are both involved with is in the next door city, where there's a lot of poverty. And so we're trying out some of these approaches there. Our project is called Local Spark Torbay. We're linked with the local government who is pursuing both a net zero climate strategy, but also a community wealth building strategy. So we've learned a lot about how to network and bring people from various parts of this community together into a productive relationship. We've run various kinds of programs supporting social enterprises. We've started a social enterprise network. We do the local entrepreneur forum, and we work with some of the anchor institutions in the town also. In our county, there's also a net zero task force and a climate group. So the county had declared a climate emergency, and they're pursuing lots of different things there, which we have found is creating some opportunity to at least exchange information. We're not really collaborating just yet, but maybe this is something we can learn how to do. There's a Green Deal group in the area. There's also a Devon Donut. They produce this very cool kind of interactive donut. They have about 170 people who've been involved in this project, and we're also looking for ways to bring them into productive relationship. And then there's also Schumacher College. Many of you will have heard of Schumacher. There's a regenerative agriculture program. There's a regenerative economics program, a design program, a new program in education. So again, there's a lot of opportunity for us to build on the relationships that we have already. And we think that this international twinning places approach will help us to really learn how to make the most of the knowledge that's in these various places, and to spread the knowledge and know-how where we can. So that's all I have to really say about South Devon. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Jay. I will do a copy paste. I have this privilege to meet Jay every 2 weeks. So if somebody else wants to use opportunity to speak with Jay, floor is yours. So any questions, any comments? So Vishwa, David.
So I have a simple, I don't know if it's simple, but there is this new book by Graham Boyd, and the frames and things that he's talking about, it looks like in your own capacity, you've been experimenting with them. So what do you make of that book, Graham Boyd's work and his new book? And
I'm not catching the name of the author.
Graham Boyd, Fair Shares Commons.
Ah, okay. I'm not familiar with his work. I'm familiar with the Commons. We're very well acquainted with David Bollier and the work that he and his colleagues have been doing, and connected to other people who are involved in the Commons. I think for my part, because I'm sort of a quasi-academic, I have some visibility into things that are happening all over, and so I guess I maybe didn't mention this before, but I teach at Schumacher College and also at Plymouth on these topics, and so of course I don't know everything, but for my part here in our place, we're able to work with these concepts as and when we can. And I think one of the things I've learned is that there's real benefit in being pragmatic, and knowing lots of different approaches, having a big toolbox with lots of tools, having lots of maps and kind of theoretical concepts that can help me understand both the situation that we might be facing, but also the opportunities to make change. On top of that, we have what's popular. So at the moment, donut is very popular. So, in working with all of these dynamics, I think you have to be sort of pragmatic and opportunistic. So I think that's maybe how I would answer your question. Does that help? Did I answer it?
No, but it's better.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you, Vishwa. David?
Thanks, Nicola. I just wanted to ask Jay and the other colleagues on this call, if community wealth building is popular in the other countries outside the English-speaking world, because I know it started in the US, it's being done in the UK, but I'm not aware if it has the same popularity in countries like Switzerland and Portugal, or is it stuck in a language barrier, or is it being translated?
Well, if I may, I think it's still very much in the Anglo-Saxon world. So I'm pretty well acquainted with some of the people animating this model, including Sarah McKinley, who's from the Democracy Collaborative. She's based in Brussels, and I'll be going to Brussels in a little bit, and we'll meet her. But one of the interesting things that she shared with me recently was that although community wealth building, as it is here in the UK, is very much a kind of top-down, council-driven, local state-driven process, in the United States, it's very much more bottom-up. And there are many groups in the States that are forming around this concept and trying to learn how to make change from the bottom up. And I think this is another opportunity for us to kind of connect and learn from them, and also have them learn about the experiences of other folks like those of us on the call.
Yeah.
And crystallizing, of course, is
No.
bottom up as well. There is some bottom up, not much, but there is.
Yeah. I thank you, David, for the question. I truly believe also that it's something that is happening all around the globe, but it's not called community wealth building. I mean, Switzerland has an organization that is called Schweizerische Gemeinnützige Gesellschaft, which means literally, when we translate it, like Swiss Society for Common Good, which is older than the Swiss state. And Switzerland is built like grassroots, like with the small local communities who join to cantons, and then cantons build confederation. Or for example, I'm coming from Yugoslavia, and we had, like, after Second World War, this famous self-government, self-organizing, like a model that the state was built on, like. And yeah, I think that there's a lot of examples. I don't know how is it in South America, but yeah, of course. Of course, we speak about Switzerland, which is one of the richest countries in the world now, or Yugoslavia, which collapsed, but still there is some knowledge and root, and yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Yeah, I'm jealous on Melissa. Actually, I'm happy for you that you have somebody to hug and to pet with.
These people are amazing. All amazing. All leaders, all wonderful people doing wonderful things here. You should, if we had the opportunity to have each one of these people here talking about what they are doing, oh God. I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
It would be fantastic, but it would be a very long call.
Yeah, but then we welcome them and invite them to organize a call with them, like where we can present I would be really curious to hear and to learn, who are you and how did you become who you are?
Well, there's lots of opportunity to do stuff. So we could run an open space event online. We're going to have this, our next scheduled meeting is in September. So you could join that, and maybe we can hear more about what's happening from you guys. Should we, Vishva has a question. I was just about to say maybe we should wrap up, but we can go as long as you like. Vishva?
So I'm going to piggyback a question that a friend was asking, and I've been pursuing, is how do you, like, we are people who have committed, and you're also pursuing, is we are people who have taken a stand, who have said no more. So, but there are people who want to transition, but when it comes to transitioning, they come to this question of, but this is how it has always been. This is how we know it to be. How can we do this or that? How do you address that particular situation, that blockage that comes when people try, but they don't have the gumption to walk all the way?
I don't think there's a simple answer to that question, but I think, and I'm just jumping in because I've had a lot of coffee and this is part of my personality, so I'm sorry about that. But I think one of the things that I've learned is you can't change everybody's mind. People are only ready to do whatever they're ready to do. So we try to meet people wherever they are. We find ways of creating an open invitation. We have conversations, the kind of conversations that are, generative, that can lead us somewhere. And I think that's the best we can do. Well, I'll say one more thing, which is we also have to manifest things in the world. So there's nothing that tells a powerful story like a deed, if you know what I mean. So actions speak louder than words. Maybe you've heard that expression. So I've heard many, many stories about community gardens. People say they want to turn something into a community garden and everybody says, no, don't do it. It'll just be destroyed. And then you do it. And then everybody says, oh, I was always in favor of that garden and I love it. It's my garden. So I think, there's no magic formula, but I think those are the kinds of things that I've seen working anyway. But I jumped in. I don't know if Mel or Nicola, you have more things to say.
Yeah, now I'm really inspired with German language. And in German, they also like to work in Germany, in Switzerland. And they are just working. Lucas can confirm that it's coming from Protestant doctrine. But I've learned that you can do things and have an impact, but you can also be and have an impact. So I also encourage people just to be. And I'm aware of the time as well. We agreed to stay here for 90 minutes, but of course, everybody is welcome to stay longer if you want. But I want also to share a round of question to all of you, which is actually kind of a wrapping up. I want to know, how was this experience for you? Or what is alive at the moment? I'm really curious. And I would like to hear some other voices, and please don't take it personal, Vishwa or David. Yeah, I'm really curious. So, Gabriela, Monica, Elena.
I will try to make a call here. Sorry about my English because I don't practice a lot. But there's a lot of thoughts on my mind here right now. But my main concern, for me, I'm an economist as well, and I am worried about vulnerability groups or the peripheral groups here in São Paulo. I live in São Paulo. It's a big city, and you have a lot of poor people, and I am trying to digest your speech and try to understand how can we achieve this, because we don't have struggles to physical access, but financial access, right? In my neighborhood, I don't have some vegetables in the local market, not because of the price, they don't sell it. So when I talk about like organic farming, something like that, we could arrange some kind of logistics to people access it, but people don't have money to buy it. We have free market, but I know that people can't buy all the things. And what I'm trying to think, because my main concern, what I'm trying to achieve in my personal development, what can I do to this kind of community, you know? And when you talk about the interchange of knowledge, my main concern is, okay, so what is the socio-economical indicators that connect these communities? Because it's different when you talk about Switzerland and São Paulo, or or a rich neighborhood in São Paulo, where I can take organic farmers and this kind of fair trade products. And what I'm trying to, this is my first contact with this kind of group, and I'm really happy to see this. And I'm trying to figure it out, because just you guys to know, I'm trying to be short here. 2 weeks ago, I met a guy who has a project to map micro territories here in Brazil with our statistical institute. So you can see in a micro region inside a neighborhood, near a school or near a theater, a library, what is the socio-economical perspective of that micro territory? And this kind of blew my mind. So, okay, what can I do? Like, I forgot Lucas' presentation. Okay, so not a local organic farming, but something like community guidance, a community council, because it's hard. It's scarce here. This kind of poor territory don't have a community to discuss about their neighborhood, you know. And I'm trying to figure out how, in a big city like São Paulo, how the dynamics emerge from it. And this is where my concerns and my thoughts go. I don't know if you guys have met something like this, but this is something I'm really interested to understand, you know?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Can I say something? I'm very inspired for what you just said, Caio, and because this is a huge challenge in Brazil. We had a huge territory, and the poverty is a reality. It's a very strong reality here, and I feel that the Twinning Places, that is the project we are introducing here with you, is something that can help us a lot. You know, there is an organization specifically of the topic you just brought us. There's an organization, probably you know, here in Brazil. It's Comida do Amanhã. In English would be Food for Tomorrow. And this organization here in Brazil, that's the topic for them. You know, that's what they work on every single day. And one of the directors of this organization lives, like me, lives in Rio and Vale das Videiras, and we got very close. And when I understood what Comida do Amanhã was doing, I was like, oh my God, we should be getting more together and creating things and exchanging ideas and in social technologies. So when I see the Twinning Places, I see that we have a powerful project, you know, to help us to organize ourselves, you know. And Barbara is here. Barbara knows the woman I'm talking about, Francine. She's a very, very powerful woman. And we have a lot of potential together. But if we do not do anything about it, it's going to be only potential. So I think we have here an opportunity to look for all of this and understand together how can we, access what this wonderful network, global network can bring to us, So I hear you, Lucas, and I would like really to get more close to the things that you brought to us. Thank you. David?
Thanks, Mel. Yes, to respond to your point, Caio, about the unique problems of the big cities. So Sao Paulo, I just looked up, is a city of 12 million people. It's a very big city. And we got a similar problem in London, although London not so big, about between 8 and 10 million. But still, so what I found made a big change was the introduction quite recently of 4 sub-regions. So now we have 4 sub-regions in London. Actually, most people in the population don't even know about it because it's that new. But it does open up different possibilities. So you can actually connect the poor parts with the more wealthy parts, and you can get some kind of a social redistribution of wealth within the economy through community wealth building across the sub-region. And we haven't got time now to talk in more detail, but I'd definitely like to connect with you, Caio, to talk about this in more detail, if possible, maybe like one-on-one.
Yeah, thank you very much for your questions, Caio, and your concerns. I see that you care, and that's something that I appreciate a lot. And I'm happy that Mel is here and some other people from Brazil. And yeah, I'm again, as in this role of facilitator, I'm aware of the time and those topics like climate justice or economy, it can be really be overwhelming. So I suggest that you connect with your local group, regional groups, international communities. And these spaces are really important, and we can talk about it. And yeah, maybe because I'm aware of the time, maybe you can write down in the chat, like quickly, all of you, what is alive to you now, and what are you bringing with you after this call? And when I say go, you can click enter, and I give you 2 minutes. Is it okay? Thank you very much. So minute of silence and minute of writing. Okay, I see that some people already started to send us messages. So thank you very much. I see that we are bringing strength, inspiration. I think that we have a huge potential to travel far and bring everyone with us. Hope, wish to connect, and to reconnect. I will bring with me gratitude. I'm really grateful. Yeah, it's a feeling, and I see that there is also a lot of feelings, and yeah, and let's stay in the loop. I will also share my contacts and find us on the Open Collective, and maybe just to announce before we close the round that we will meet again on September 8th, 9 a.m. Brazil time, 1 p.m. UK, and 2 p.m. Central European time. We will speak about Translocal Entrepreneur Forum in November. So we invite you to follow our page. And maybe last word to Jay and Mel. Mel or Jay, you're welcome. I can't hear you, Jay.
Mute. The mute button. We should have learned by now. I was just going to say thanks everyone for coming. We will be pursuing this twinning idea. We're going to get some funding, and we'll keep you all apprised. We'll post the recording of this meeting too on the Open Collective page and socials. Mel?
Oh, I just want to say thank you so much for this wonderful group, Jay, Nicola, Elena, and Cecile, who is not here, unfortunately, but for a good reason. And each one of you guys and girls that came, for our call, I'm feeling very inspired, and thank you so much. I hope to get together more often.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, guys. Thank you for your time.